Nobody wants to follow me. All right, our next reader is Zack Ravas. He goes to CCA. We go way, way back in the playpen. All right, bring him up. I just got him not too long ago, actually.
Alright, thanks. Thanks to everyone that came out. It means a lot. I'm just going to read 3 flash fiction pieces. The first one's called Gracia Takes New York, and unfortunately it's a little bit more of a downer than when the Muppets took Manhattan. But anyway, okay. Gracia Takes New York. Living in a big city, your connection to life becomes much more tenuous. Your pulse quickens at the thought of riding your bike in nighttime traffic, or one wrong step on the subway platform, or a stranger shadowing your movements from the park across the street. Gracia takes a step into the crosswalk and stops abruptly for an overzealous minivan making a right turn. It's times like these when she can see her body from a distance, cold as a push-up pop on the slab of some downtown morgue. As the minivan honks and resumes its course, she thinks this will be the great irony of her life, killed by a fucking baby boomer. She tries to tell homeless people, God bless, after refusing them change, but the words sound insincere on her lips. She hasn't been to church since her 18th birthday. Church only makes her think of her parents, who once alternated between years of infidelity and marriage counseling, but have now caught a second wind upon her departure. They call her a long distance from hotel resorts in Florida. They say the view is great as long as you stay under an awning. That a middle-aged woman just a few doors down collapsed during the short walk from her room to the poolside bar. Thankfully, a quick-thinking bartender leapt over the counter and began dumping his entire stock of ice across her body. Gracia's room is stuffy without a window open, but last night the drunken argument outside her apartment sounded something like Why Men and Women Can't Be Friends, the musical. Tonight a baby wails for hours in the dark as though it's been abandoned on someone's porch steps, something she thought only happened in the movies. People she's met 2 or 3 times, people her own age, seem hesitant to shake her hand at art galleries or loft parties. A good-looking store clerk tells her, I buy all my beer based on alcohol content, and the night that follows feels like one mistake after another, from the grass stains on her white dress to the seasick walk back to her place. In fact, the only thing that feels right is the face-first free fall towards an empty bed, and even that only lasts till morning. I'm a product of rebelling against my environment, her friend Karen says. Her best friend Karen, a good person, who once bet a man $50 that the next great American novel will be written in a laundromat. Karen lives 600 miles away in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Living in a big city, it's the little things that get you, the loneliness of well-lit produce aisles, the realization you've had more drinks spilled on you in the last 3 weeks than in the last 3 years, or falling asleep with a flea trap for a nightlight. An acquaintance at a bar hands Gracia a drink, a gesture captured by the club's mirrored walls. She stares at her own reflection and concludes that after 25 years on this earth, she should really have better posture by now. This is called Sublet, so since Julie didn't do sex, I'll cover sex.
I like sex!
This is for anyone who's ever subletted. The only thing my roommate and I have in common is sex. He sleeps with whoever he can convince to come home with him, and I sleep alone. Our apartment is littered with the silent markings of his conquests. It's noticing an unfamiliar pair of underwear stuck halfway under the couch while I'm barreling through another season of some show on Netflix. It's shuffling into the bathroom at 8 a.m. to find an extra toothbrush below the mirror. It's the guessing game of who left whose hair in our sink, sometimes blonde, sometimes brown or red. Until one week when the traffic through our apartment stops, I let myself in at night, prepared to tiptoe through a minefield of discarded clothes, only to find my roommate standing bleary-eyed in the kitchen, joint in hand. With the window above the sink open just a crack, he blows smoke from his mouth in a thick fog. His long dark hair is perfectly parted down the center, his chin perpetually threatening to sprout a goatee, but always falling short of that goal. He turns and looks at me. You lead a charmed life, he says, and you don't even know it. I wait for him to finish taking another hit before asking, "What the hell are you talking about?" In a trance-like murmur, I have to step closer to hear. He tells me how he spent the month before I moved in traveling through the old world. He saw the places that aren't on any map, discotheques that don't open their doors until 3 a.m., cafes and alleyways whose green elixirs feel like a campfire in your belly, ruined palaces where the shadows of women seem to flutter from balcony to balcony. He smiles at this mention of the women with raven black hair and sun-kissed complexions, for whom sex is a gentle interrogation, as simple as saying hello. The wailing of an Oakland ambulance drowns out any more loose talk of Barcelona nights. My roommate shakes his head and stubs the joint out on the windowsill. "California weed is too strong," he remarks. I follow his bloodshot stare out the window to the brick facade of the apartment opposite ours, all its rooms gone dark and all its blinds drawn. Without speaking, he retrieves 2 unwashed glasses from the sink and pours out 2 shots of mezcal. He hands me the drink and then holds his dirty glass up to the kitchen light. "A toast," he says, "to the charmed ones." This last piece is about teenagers, one of my favorite subjects. Seniors Week. Seniors own this school. We erected the flame pods that trigger each time our pickup trucks roll into the parking lot. We are the privileged few who wander the halls during class, exchanging high fives and patting hands on asses while underclassmen take tests behind closed doors. We keep flasks concealed in leather jackets and bottles wrapped in paper bags. Slow sips in the cafeteria to sweeten the waning hours of the afternoon. The lunch bell rings and we file one by one into the showers for gym class. The entire period spent scrubbing our bodies, these bronze temples into which so much worship is afforded. On game nights, the town lights up for miles, earthbound stars aligned in the direction of a freshly cut football field. Traffic winds snake-like through the narrow streets till at last the scoreboard comes into view, its message clear above the painted faces of our most ardent disciples. Let's go, seniors, let's go. News reporters, tabloid journalists who don't know any better, have described the school parking lot as a, quote, monster truck rally once class is let out. In truth, it is not uncommon to see a dozen seniors loaded into the bed of a pickup as it careens around corners, narrowly avoiding streetlights and scraping the paint jobs of certain faculty members' cars. The pavement littered with dirt from our tires tearing up the earth, so much broken glass and bravado. On a balmy afternoon before summer vacation began, the worst offenders in the media even went so far as to suggest that one such truck flipped over on itself, crushing the students piled in the back. Teary-eyed news anchors were sure to describe the gruesome process by which the victims were later identified using dental records. To this we say, based on testimony from our mothers and fathers and several prominent members of the community, we will never die. Thank you.